Hey everyone, and welcome to another lesson of science. I hope that you guys had a great holiday, and I hope that you guys are safe now. And I highly recommend you to get at home and stay at home, not to leave it anywhere, okay? And today we'll study and we'll get another lesson about human's body, okay? So, today's lesson is going to be about the skeleton. Okay, get your stuff, and I highly recommend you to get your pencils and notebook and the book. We'll start now studying about the bones and the skeletal system. I'll be waiting for you to get your stuff, so we start, okay? And as you know, that after you guys get your things, we'll write, and you guys have to listen carefully so you understand the lesson. So, as you guys are getting your stuff here, it is now time to start. We start now with a very basic question. The question is, why do we need our skeleton? Why do we need it anyways? Now, I want you to open page 18. Page 18. You have to open page 18. Okay? I'll write it here. Page 18. You gotta open this page, okay? Open it now. And let's start. We start with the first paragraph, which is here. Our skeleton holds, or your skeleton holds your body up. Without it, you would be a shapeless sack of organs, unable to walk or even sit up. Here, let's look at this one. That is Mr. Skeleton, as you see here. Do you see this one? This happy one here? This is Mr. Skeleton. This skeleton here does a lot of things for you, okay? This one is the thing that actually helps you to stand on your feet. Without Mr. Skeleton, you wouldn't be able to stand on your feet or even to sit up or do any activity that involves movement. You would have been a shapeless sack of organs. You would have been something so close to the worms, okay? Let's check another picture. Do you see this guy here? This happy man here. So what keeps its shape like this? What keeps its shape like this is the skeleton. Do you see the skeleton underneath its skin? It's a hard part of your body that keeps you as you are and protects the important things. Look at the skull. Do you see the skull? It protects your brain from getting uh, squashed because of something. Like whenever you're hit with something, it protects your brain so nothing happens to it and you never forget anything that you know. Do you see? Do you see these ribs? These ribs protect your inner organs like your heart and these other stuff that you have in your body. So your skeleton actually protects you and helps you to move. That's what you have to know about the skeleton. Okay, let's check this one. So page 18 again on the book. Now, your bones have other jobs too. They make blood, store minerals, and protect important organs. Okay, that's what you have to know. Now, guys, I'd highly recommend you to highlight the following. It's a very important thing for you to study. Hold your highlighter and start highlighting with me. Your skeleton holds your body up. Without it, you would be a shapeless sack of organs unable to walk or even sit up until here. Okay? Highlight this one. That's a very important thing that you have to highlight. It's important for you. You should know it. Now, without the skeleton, would you be able to move? No. Would you be able to sit down? No. Okay? That is the important thing that the skeleton does. Very good. Now, of course, the shape of the real skeleton is like this one that you're seeing here, or this other one. Do you see the skull? This is the real skeleton that you have in your body. It protects your head. It protects your part of your other parts that you have. It protects your hands. It helps you to move. Good. So, in order to keep the information, you have to write it, okay? Let's start. We'll write something. I'll write something here, and you guys have to write it with me, okay? Let's start. The first question that we'll write is, why do we need the skeleton? Why do we need the skeleton? This has two reasons. Reason number one is what? We said it. The reason number one is to keep our shape fixed, to keep it as it is, to keep our shape. Without our skeletons, we would have been some shapeless animals, okay? Or we could have been some shapeless humans. Have you ever seen shapeless animals like worms? Worms never keep their shape. They can wiggle, okay? Because they don't have a skeleton. That's about them. You can just turn them about as you like. They don't keep their shape. Yeah, so I'm still waiting for you. If you guys finished, still waiting. So, let's move on to another important thing. Another important thing. How many bones? As you see, you have many bones in your body. Do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting. Can you count with me? How many bones can you count here? That's 1. That's obviously 1. 2, 3, 4. Count with me. You see? This skeleton has many bones. It's smiling at us. It has many bones. Look, count with me. Count 1, 2, 3. It has many ribs. Look, 4, 5, 6. I'm actually not seeing the other ribs. So, what do you think? How many bones do humans have? Yeah, that's an important question. How many bones do humans have? That's a very important question. And this question, surprisingly, has two answers. And the first one being adults have 206 bones. And babies have 270 bones. You see? Now, the question of how many bones do humans have has two answers. Adults, which means big men, or let's say grown-ups, have 206 bones. They have 206 bones. And babies, on the other hand, have 270 bones. So babies have more bones than grown-ups. Isn't it surprising? I guess that it's surprising. I never knew about that. Have you ever heard that somewhere? If you've heard about it, you guys are smart. You guys are smart kids. So, what do we do now? Right. Very good. You have to write this one. Whatever I write it here on that notepad, you have to write it with me. Write it on your notebooks. Come on. And I'm quite sure about it that you guys wrote these two. Now you guys should write this one too. Come on, I'll be waiting for you. I'm waiting for every single one of you. I'm now sure about it that you guys finished from writing that. Now, as you finished from that, we should now, of course, start highlighting another thing on your book. Now, get your highlighter quickly. Get your highlighter. Yes, we got time to do that. Come on. Did you get? Have you got your highlighter? Come on. Let's start highlighting. I'd start highlighting from here. You see this one? I'll highlight it, and then I'll highlight this up. I'll highlight this other line and this other one. And here is the last line to be highlighted. Until here. I highlight from here until here. That's what I have to highlight. Did you get that? There you go. And the question, of course, I'll highlight the question too, so you guys know what have we been speaking about. Let's go down a bit and look at something else. I guess that you guys are done from writing this one. It was a very important thing. Now, as you have noticed, the bones have different shapes and they also have different sizes. And yet, of course, they'll have different names. How did we name the bones? Do you guys know? Yes, you guys? Do you know? How did we name them? What did we name them? Let's read this together. Bone names. Okay, let's read it together. All the bones in the skeleton have their own scientific names. They are mostly in Latin. Latin. What is that language? It's an old language, okay? It is the Romans language. So that the doctors and scientists around the world can all use the same names. Why did we name it in Latin? So doctors and scientists around the world can all use the same names. That's why we named it in Latin. Do we have to write it? Of course we'll write it. Okay, let's start writing that. Okay, we'll say, in what language did we name the bones? That's another question for you. In what language did we name the bones? What was the language that we used to name the bones? So the answer was, tell me, think about it. We said it right now. Yes. So what do you know? We said it. Good. Latin. We named the bones in Latin. Very good. That's very good, guys. Yes. Now, here, another question comes to our mind, and the question is, why did we call, or why did we name the bones in Latin? Why did we name the bones in Latin? Okay, so doctors use the same names around the world. So doctors would use the same names for them, and it gets to be easier for us to study them. And of course, as I wrote these two questions and their answers for you, you have to write them on your notebooks, okay? Write these two right now. I'll be waiting for you so you finish. Let's finish. Yeah. So waiting for you to write this stuff. Write this stuff, and after that, we'll start highlighting. Write this stuff, and we'll highlight. I actually know that these were a bit long for you to write them, but they're important and you should know them. So, in what language did we name the bones? We named them in Latin. We named the bones in Latin. Why did we name the bones in Latin? So doctors use the same names around the world. Nobody changed Latin, so they all use the same name. Get your markers and let's highlight. Okay, let's look at this one. Here, this one. You see bone names? Highlight it. Highlight bone names. Okay, let's start. All the bones in the skeleton have their own scientific names. They are mostly in Latin. Do you see? I actually messed it up here. I'll fix it. Yeah, very good. They're in Latin. So that doctors and scientists around the world can all use the same names until here and stop. That's all what you have to highlight. You'll highlight this one. That's a very important thing. You have to highlight it, okay? As you've noticed, we are writing and we are highlighting. That's a very important thing to do. You should write and highlight both of them. Are you guys done with this? Did you write these? I'm sure, I'm positively sure that you're done with these. Let's check this other picture. What do you see here? Describe what do you see. Describe what do you see. Yeah? If they ask me, I'd actually say that I'm seeing a bunch of skeletons running. How can these skeletons run? Yeah, of course, they can run because they are rigid, they have a fixed shape. So they can run because they keep their shape. If they were like worms, they wouldn't be able to run. So the bones help us to keep the same shape. Okay, now we'll do something else in moments. Prepare yourselves to a little quiz, okay? It's not going to be counted or something, but let's see if you understood the lesson or not. I'll bring you several questions and you guys have to explain it for me, and you'll have to answer these questions for me. Okay? Okay. Now the questions are going to be ready in moments. Wait a minute. Yes. So, let's start. This is going to be just like an exam. Let's see. Let's start with the first question. Question number 1. How many bones are there in an adult's body? How many bones are there in an adult's body? Yeah. Do you remember the question? And do you remember its answer? How many bones are there in an adult's body? So, yes, of course, there are 206 bones in an adult's body. Very good for these students who knew, and the rest of you who didn't know, you should know, okay? Try to remember it, review it a bit, okay? Now, let's continue. Let's see what else do we have. How many bones are there in an infant's body? Infant means baby, okay? Let's say in a baby's body, okay? How many bones are there in a baby's body? Do you remember? Do you remember the answer? It's quite simple and easy. There are, yes, think about them. Of course, exactly. 270 bones in a baby's body. So, where, or let's say, who has more bones? An adult, a full grown adult, or a baby? What do you think? Who has more bones? Of course, a baby would have more bones. Okay? Good. Let's move on. Let's move on to the other question. This other question is a bit long. Why do we need our bones? Do you remember what was the answer of this question? Why did we need our bones? What was the first reason that made us need the bones in the first place? Yeah, yeah. So, yes, of course. We need them to keep our shape fixed, let's say, to keep our shape so we don't lose our shape. Okay. Two, what was the second reason? Why did we needed our bones for the second reason? What was the second reason of our need for the bones? Who can remember? Can you actually remember what did we need our bones? The second reason of it? Yeah, Let's see. So the answer is to what? To help us move and run freely. Okay? You actually remember this one, right? Let's see. Let's look at the last question. In what language did we name our bones, or most of our bones? In what language did we name most of our bones? Yeah? So yeah, of course, we named them in Latin. We named our bones in Latin. Very good. And there is another question, a bonus question, that if you know, you'll take extra marks for it, or let's say extra credits, because you just should know it. Why did we name our bones in Latin? Why did we name our bones in Latin? Why didn't we name them in English or in German or in Spanish? We named them in Latin. Why did we do that? Do you remember? So, what do you think? Very good. We named them in Latin so scientists and doctors would use it all over the world. So the doctors use the same names around the world. That was the reason. That's why we named them in Latin. Very good. Okay, that's very good. So, to recap, to look again at the things that we studied today, we opened page 18. We spoke about the skeleton. We said that your skeleton holds your body up. Without it, you would be a shapeless sack of organs, unable to walk, or even sit up. That was the reason why we needed the skeleton. How many bones? We said here that an adult body has 206 bones, but children have more. A baby is born with up to 270 bones. Do you see that? Mr. Skeleton here helped us at doing many things and actually has. Mr. Skeleton is a baby. So, how many bones does it have? Mr. Skeleton is a baby. It has 270 bones. Okay. Now, bone names. All the bones in the skeleton have their own scientific names. They're mostly in Latin, so that doctors and scientists around the world can all use the same names. That was the cause that led us to name the bones with their Latin names. Did you guys understand it? Very good. So for today, that was required from you, and also make sure that you have wrote these. These are important. You have to write them on your notebooks, okay? Okay. Now, of course, I'd see you soon, and I'll see you next time, and I'll speak to you. We'll study something else. Bye.